Hey, what up anyone who's watching? This is View with Ice, the channel with terrible narration but incredible recommendations for TV shows and anime. And today we are going to be looking at some of the best new shows that 2022 has given us. The only shows that will qualify for this list are shows that debuted this year, so no returning shows will be mentioned. This list will of course be in no specific order because I believe all of these are must-watch shows and do not need any ranking. Okay, so today I'll be starting off our list with the comedy Killing It. The show follows a man who is constantly down on his luck trying to start a new business, but things never seem to go his way. Everything changes when he meets a wacky Australian woman on an Uber drive and he gets introduced to a snake hunting contest. He is of course reluctant at first, but in his desperation he decides to team up with this woman and hunt snakes for the prize money. This is of course without a doubt a very ridiculous plot, but it is also one of the funniest shows that I have watched this year. My favorite thing about the show is that it escalates every single episode. You think you have seen it all, and the next episode the stupidity and madness reaches a higher level. That and Craig Robinson is our lead in the show, so you know you are in for a great time. Next up we have Dark Winds. Our story here is a psychological crime thriller that takes place in the 1970s and follows two Navajo police officers investigating two murders on a Navajo reservation. The show has a pretty straightforward plot that is infused with Native American culture to a certain degree, where it feels that it could be somewhat supernatural, and that is one of my favorite selling points of the show. Dark Winds only consists of 6 episodes, so it is very straight to the point and doesn't drag on for too long. It was also renewed for a second season, which will also consist of 6 episodes that is set to release sometime next year. Up next we have a murder mystery comedy, The After Party. Our show here takes place at a high school reunion after party when the host of the party dies. The show then looks at every character who may be responsible for his death. Each episode a different character is interviewed and that episode gets told through their perspective. Although the show ends on a very satisfactory note, it was renewed for a second season, which is said to be about a wedding and will feature a few new faces. This is definitely one of my favorite comedies to come out this year. Next up we have another great show featuring Sharon Horgan. I know the world is always talking about Netflix shows, but you have to put some respect on Apple TV's name here because they have a lot of great shows and this is just another feather in their cap. Bad Sisters is an Irish black comedy that follows a group of sisters that are under investigation by an insurance company after one of their husbands dies under suspicious circumstances. The show takes place in 2 different timelines, one before and one after the death of John Paul. If you can imagine the biggest douchebag you have ever met in your life, infuse that person with the biggest piece of shit, that would be John Paul. In the storyline before his death, the show looks at Ava, Baby, Becca and Ursula plotting his death because they were getting sick of the way he was treating their sister. And in the storyline after his death, the show looks at the investigation they are under by the insurance agents and also tries to figure out who or what is really responsible for the death of the prick John Paul. To no surprise, Bad Sisters has been renewed for a second season. There is no official time frame yet, but I can definitely not wait to see more of the madness. Next up we have one of my favorite teen shows of 2022. I'm gonna throw it up there with my other favorite shows like Sex Education, Outer Banks, On My Block, Atypical and things of that nature. Basically just to tell you that this is a great show. This is essentially a reboot of a 1994 show of the same name. Heartbreak High is an Australian teen comedy drama that follows the students and teachers of Hartley High. Of course, focusing more on the students. The show looks at all the obvious things that you would expect in a teen show, taking a look at things like friendships, romance, identity, and betrayal. Our show mostly revolves around Emery and Harper. They are the co-creators of the Incest Map. The Incest Map is basically a mind map detailing the sexual adventures of the Hartley High students. After the map gets discovered, Emery takes the fall for it and now all the names that were mentioned are now forced to attend a new sexual education course at school. Because of this, Emery becomes a social outcast, and for some reason, Harper also stops being friends with her over something that she has no memory of. The show was also renewed for a new season only 1 month after its release. If you are a fan of shows like Sex Education or even a show like Skins, it would be in your highest interest to try out Heartbreak High. If a show gets renewed for a second season without it even being released, that definitely means it must be something good. And if after the first season is released, it is yet again renewed for a third season, then that should give you an idea that this must be great, and that is exactly what the next show on our list is. The Legend of Vox Machina is an American adult animation fantasy that is based on the Dungeons & Dragons web series Critical Role. I can tell you now that I know absolutely nothing about Dungeons & Dragons or Critical Role. But what I do know is that it is the reason for the creation of this great Amazon original. The show follows the group Vox Machina in the fictional world of Exandria, who are on a quest to save the realm from dark and magical forces. The show is brutal, dark, action-packed, features a great cast of characters, and above all else, it's funny. Definitely not something that you should overlook because there are already 2 more seasons on the way. If you love action, I don't think there is a lot of better choices in 2022 than the Amazon original Reacher. The show stars Alan Ritchson as Jack Reacher, a former military policeman who is arrested for a murder he didn't commit when he visits the town of Margrave, Georgia. After he is released from prison, he teams up with 2 police officers and they try to uncover the conspiracy and corruption in the town of Margrave. Reacher is one of those characters who are constantly attracted to dangerous situations, so that means there is no lack of action in this show. I love this show because of its great combination of action and story with a badass character as the lead. And to no surprise, Reacher was renewed for a second season, which has already started filming and is expected to be released sometime in the spring of 2023. Next up, we have Peacemaker. The show is a spin-off of the 2021 Suicide Squad, and it follows Peacemaker, who is portrayed by John Cena. The show takes place after the events of the movie and gives us a deeper look into the character of Peacemaker. After he survives his injuries, he is recruited for a top-secret mission called Project Butterfly. This mission is to take out parasitic butterfly-like aliens who have started to take over human bodies all over the world. This is in my opinion the best thing that the DCEU has given us in a very long time. It could even be the best thing in the DCEU depending on who you ask, but it is without a doubt a great show for the superhero genre. The show is action-packed, featuring dark comedy, great music, entertaining characters with hilarious dialogue that will easily compel you to binge through the entire season in one sitting. And of course, the show has been renewed for a second season. There is also said to be more spin-off shows featuring characters of the Suicide movie in development. Out of all the shows that I have watched this year, this is without a doubt one of the best ones to be released. After the suicide of his brother, a young chef who comes from the world of fine dining now has to try and run his family's Italian sandwich shop in Chicago. The shop is in debt, it has a rundown staff who are stuck in their ways, and it is all up to the young chef to turn everything around and change it for the better. The show gives us one of the most brutally realistic views of how stressful it is to work in a kitchen and features some incredible performances, especially from Jeremy Allen White, who you most likely know as Lip from Shameless. The show received critical acclaim, and it is of course renewed for a second season, which is said to be in the works and is to be released some point in 2023. I normally give a small explanation of the plot when I recommend a show, but I will not be doing it with this one. From is the highest recommendation that I will be giving you today, and it is in my top 5 favorite shows of 2022. The reason that I will not be giving a plot summary is because I went into the show blind, and that little mystery actually made the show so much more fun to watch. So if you can, I would encourage you not to check out the trailer or a plot summary. I promise you, you will enjoy the show even more. From is a supernatural horror show that starts out vague but gets increasingly more interesting with each episode as more information is brought forward and your question steadily gets answered. I definitely feel that From is one of the most underappreciated shows of 2022, but luckily it was renewed for a second season that will most likely come out sometime next year.